The PodAskew Podcast is a proud member of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's a Nerd
and Nerdette
from the Voice of Misery podcast. If you want a show that's about pretty much anything, it's a variety show about life, love, mental health, the pursuit of happiness, and a ton of different interviews going from Karen Parsons to Ava Devine and other various adult film stars to just random people on the street that I think are interesting. You should give us a shot. Voices of Misery podcast. Voicesofmisery.podbean.com, at Voices of Misery on Twitter, and Voices of Misery anywhere you can find your favorite podcast. Give us a shot if you're not easily offended.
To the PodAskew Podcast. I am CJ, and with me, as always, is my hetero light mate Rico. What's up, man?
What's up, dude? That's how you fucking do it.
That's how you fucking do it.
Jesus. So. Do you do all that in one breath?
Yes.
Do you do that all in one syllable?
Maybe. So, what's going on, dude?
Not too much. I worked full shift yesterday, so I'm a little tired.
That's always fun.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is like, oh man, I worked a full 8-hour shift. You're like, yeah, everyone does. And I'm like, not me.
Are you guys still doing that like sidewalk sale thing for the first half of the day or no?
We haven't done that in a while because the weather was shit.
Right.
And then I actually proposed to him, my boss. I said, what if we bring that back? Because we have a lot of stuff on the sales shelf, plus it's good promotion for us, for me to, be out there and sell some shit, make some room for the store. And he said, yeah, but I don't think I can afford it. I said, okay, well, how about this? I will, if we know in advance the weather's going to be good, I'll take off one of my days, you cover for me, and then I'll fill in for work all day Saturday. So that way, you're not paying me anymore. The money still stays the same what you pay me.
It just shifts what day you're there.
It just shifts one day. So, yeah. And we were still sort of discussing, because the weather out here is kind of gray and looks slightly overcast, and it's been really chilly. So the possibility of it being cold and clammy and shitty and possibly rainy, and therefore, what's the point?
Right. Right.
So I told him, I said, let's figure out Tuesday if I'm going to come in Wednesday, because then I'll be like, hey, I got a whole fucking 4-day weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are we getting into tonight?
I think, if I remember correctly, we are talking about It's Saturday Night Live.
Well, yes, and
yes and no.
Yes and no, because I think we're going to focus a lot on the movies that have come from both the former and current cast members, as well as
movies.
Well, the movies, but not only the cast members, but the sketches. Some of the sketches that have inspired movies as well.
Sure.
So, you got really quiet all of a sudden.
Did I?
Yeah.
I haven't changed anything.
Yeah, so I mean, the different sketches. Some of the sketches produce some pretty good movies, and some of them produce some pretty crap movies. So.
Yeah, not for nothing, but I still have never seen Night at the Roxbury. The only time that sketch was actually funny to me was when Jim Carrey was a host.
Yeah,
and he was one of he was part of the duo. He was the cousin of them or something.
Something like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I agree with you. Prior to that, it wasn't, or besides that one,
Same thing with whatever the fuck Molly Shannon's superstar character was.
Yeah, that's what the thing was called.
Sticking her fingers in her arm. Like I get SNL is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a sketch comedy. It's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be silly. Sometimes it's supposed to be very witty and intelligent with some of their jokes. Sometimes it's just like, hey, we're going to have a character literally stick her fingers in her armpits and smell it because it's weird. And we're like, how the fuck did that get through the writing room? Like, what the fuck?
Well, and I mean, without beating the show to death, I feel like it hit. There was a period in the aughts, if you will, which is when that was. It was like late 90s, early aughts. That I think it really hit a low point. The show did, you know.
I think it's happened a couple times. Like,
there was
a point in like the early 80s where it happened.
Yes.
Early to mid 80s.
Yes.
All right. Well, give me one of your favorite sketches. Do you have one at the top of your head?
Oh God. Yes, but I can think of like 4. You know what I mean? That's a thing, you know, and they're all over the place. Like, that's
sure, that's fine.
You know, so like the church lady, without question, is one of my favorite sketches.
Okay.
I always liked. I'll save this. I'll save that till the end because it's not really a sketch. But yeah, so the church lady. I'm actually a big fan of the Jeopardy with Will Ferrell. You know, I'm not a big Will Ferrell fan, but that Jeopardy sketch was always pretty fucking funny. You know?
I agree. The fact that Daryl Hammond was always Sean Connery,
and
your
just mother's a whore. You know,
is it? I'll take the rapist for $200, Alex.
Yeah,
that's therapist, Mr. Connery. Therapist,
not the way I'd do it. You know, he would make jokes. You know, and then occasionally you would get fuck, what's his name? Is Burt Reynolds.
Oh, Norm Macdonald.
Yes, yeah. So that, and they've done a new version of that sketch with Kenan Thompson, where it's now like Black Jeopardy or something like that, and it's okay, but it's not as funny.
Not as funny. It's the whole point is it's like, hey, it's less celebrity impersonations and more of, you know, hey, these white people are crazy.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, there's that. Trying to think. I always like the one with the waiters. That was always a good one. You like it a juice? I like it a juice. He like it a juice. You know, it was Sandler. It was usually Sandler, Spade, Farley, and Schneider would do that bit. That was usually their bit. I'm too, for as much fun as we make fun of our age difference, I am still too young to have seen, like, I've seen the clips of, like, Ed Gurley, you know, with Martin Short, the dude with the hair and...
Oh, I never really watched... I mean, I met Martin Short, but I never really fucking...
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I'm a little too... Yeah, but I've seen clips of that one. I've seen The Wild and Crazy Guys, you know, with Dan Aykroyd. I've seen Buckwheat with Eddie Murphy a couple times. I've seen Gumby with Eddie Murphy a couple times, you know.
I'm Gumby, damn it!
Right, you know, so, I mean, like, those are like, all-time classic clips, you know, so I've seen those, but I didn't see them when they aired. So, the ones with, like, Spade and Farley and who's the guy, his wife, Phil Hartman, you know. Yeah, I know, it sucks. We lost a lot we've lost, over the course of Saturday Night Live, you've lost some great talent too early. I mean, going all the way back to the first year with Belushi, you know.
You know, did you ever seen the sketch where Belushi, it was like the finale of the first season, and it was Belushi as an old man at a cemetery?
Oh, wow.
And he's commenting on all the tombstones of all the previous, at the time, the current SNL characters.
Right.
Actually, excuse me. And he was the first to go. Like, it's really kind of a hauntingly tragic and ironic, like, sketch. He's like, I outlived them all. It's like, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
You were the first to go.
Right. So, I mean, but and I'm not trying to just gloss over that, but I mean, there's not much else you can say except it sucks. But, you know, you get back up into the years that I'm familiar with, and you had, like, you know, and we're probably going to get into this a little bit later. Adam Sandler takes a lot of shit for his movies. You know what I mean? And
sometimes deservedly so.
Right. I'm not saying, you know, but he takes a lot of shit. And sometimes even when it's deserved, it's more than it's even deserved sometimes, I think. Sure. But that's, you know. but his sketch comedy is like, I mean, Canteen Boy was another good one. It wasn't my favorite, but it was a good one.
Opera Man.
Well, see, Opera Man. Okay, so you asked me about my sketches, and I said I skip one till the end, and that's the weekly update, the weekend update, like the news sketch.
But there's a specific weekend update with a particular host that's like better over others. Like, Seth Meyers and Tina Fey, I thought was infinitely better for me.
No, give me Dennis Miller and Norm Macdonald. Not Norm Macdonald, but Kevin Nealon over Tina Fey every day of the week. Like, both those were good. Like, Dennis Miller's gone batshit right-wing crazy, but back then, he was fun to listen to. You know what I mean?
Well, I get a lot of my news from Seth Meyers still.
Okay, fair enough.
So, yeah.
Well, now he does that late night show as opposed to... He does
late... He does, what is it? Late
night.
Late
night, I think. Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
He does a late show because late is James Corden.
Oh, is that James Corden? Okay, yeah.
But he does his, what is it called? His little, it's his most popular segment where he's just like doing politics. It's essentially Weekend Update, but
on his show. Yeah.
Yeah. And I watch a lot. I mean, I like Seth Meyers. I don't, I also love his Boston sketch he did.
Yeah. See, those I'm not real familiar with Seth's sketches because I didn't really watch
his sketches are now more on his show as opposed to SNL.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Well, I mean, but I'm just saying, like, even that cast, those people, like, I know the names and I could probably pick out some of their faces, but for the most part, like the guy who was dating Ariana Grande, with all the tattoos, that was
Pete
Davidson, I think it is. Pete Davidson. Yeah. Like, until I couldn't pick him out till just recently when I watched the Eddie Murphy episode, and only because I watched the Eddie Murphy episode because it was Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Yeah.
Same thing with Sandler. When Sandler came back for the first time after like 25 years or some ridiculousness,
Yeah. I don't know. Pete Davidson, I think gets a lot of hate. Like, I actually kind of...
Look, he did one sketch on the episode with the Eddie Murphy episode, and it was a Weekend Update sketch. Like, he came in, and it was horrid. It was like... It's almost like they didn't know what to fill, like, 10 minutes with, and they were like, Pete, go sit up there and say stupid shit.
I think that's literally what happened, because he's not on SNL anymore. I think he's left.
Well, maybe. No, I think he was still in the credits, or like he was like, you know how they did like starring, and then they have also
Pete Davidson.
Yeah, like I think he was in that group. But anyway, okay. What are some of your favorite sketches, though?
I was very fond of Coneheads, just of how ridiculous it was.
I actually like the movie better than the sketches, though.
I agree. But I remember being like, because like SNL when you're a little kid is sort of like you're seeing adults play. It really is that. So to see like grown ass fucking people with weird cone prosthetics on their head pretending to be weird aliens was just like, this is when you're a little kid, it's a way to bond with your parents in a weird roundabout way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the old adult jokes are going to go over your head. Because when I saw the movie, the whole like, this is how we have sex, and it's like the rings on their cones, and Chris Farley and whoever the fuck played the daughter. I can't remember who played the daughter.
Yeah, she's a pretty famous person, if I recall. Actually, I'll look it up.
I think it's the cone. You just can't tell what. Like,
it's
like Zooey Deschanel without bangs. You're like, who the fuck is that?
Right. No, but I remember looking it up once and going, "Oh crap, that's her." You know, like I'm gonna do it again now, but I remember thinking that once a long time ago.
I always had a weird kind of fascination with Dan Aykroyd's voice, especially in Coneheads and in like Tommy Boy, because he sounds like he has this kind of weird like way of talking, like weird way of like it's high pitched and nasally and kind of not all at the same time. we're on a mission from God. Like, what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah, yeah. I can't
Also,
find her.
I still can't fucking figure out how to fucking spell his name properly.
Who?
Dan Aykroyd. It's always so weird. I know it's like it should be A-K-R-O, but it's like not. It's like there's a Y where there's not supposed to be a Y.
Yeah, it's
like,
it's A-Y-K-R-O-Y-D.
Right? What the fuck? It's Aykroyd.
Aykroyd. I can't find I've got Dan and Jane Curtin, but I can't find the daughter. She's not in. What's it listed in under? Yeah, she's not in the cast.
She's got to be. She's in the cast.
But it must be like...
Maybe look it up on Wikipedia. It'll say like, oh, daughter played by...
Yeah, but that's really weird, don't you think? Like, you would think she'd be close to the top of that list.
Maybe because they're doing it by order of appearance. So she doesn't come till like a third, like after the first act. Because the first act is them landing, integrating themselves into society, getting the RDT Chico, kind of like false name, and then getting married, water breaks, with a fucking flood, and then that little montage of them when she's a little baby, and then she's 16, and so that's probably
no, she's not. She's not here. Oh, hold on. Here she is. I got her, Michelle Burke.
Okay, couldn't tell you who the fuck that is at the top of my head. But I know if I was like, oh, it's the chick from...
Well, she's in... You see, that's where I know her from. She's in a couple movies that I really like. She's in Dazed and Confused. And she's in Major League 2.
I never saw Major League 2.
It's okay compared to the first one. But...
Yeah. Let's see, what's another...
But that's why I know her, because of Dazed and Confused.
Another sketch that I really liked... I mean, look, we talked about this on an episode... But, like, I was a massive Chris Farley fan. I still am.
Yeah.
So, Matt Foley.
Oh, God. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Living in a van down by the river.
Yeah. I mean, like, the Chip and Dale sketch is pretty funny.
Yeah. It's not as good as the Matt guy.
But there's a lot of, like, Farley sketches that you kind of watch now, and... there's a lot of sadness, like, because in that whole thing, it's like the judges with like Kevin Nealon and Mike Myers, they're like saying, hey, so we're going to go with, Swayze because he's obviously thinner and more athletic looking and yours is just not. And Chris Farley's like, yeah, of course, I understand. And you look inside, you're like, he really was like upset about that. Like, Chris Farley.
It's because he's good at what he did. I mean,
but like Chris Farley towards the end of his life, like he was so
he got
upset
big, and
he got big, but like he was also like so embarrassed by the movies that he put out. Like when he saw the cut of Beverly Hills Ninja with his producer and with his agent, he cried because he was like, don't make me do this again. Don't make me do another movie like this. He's like, stop making me do Fatty Fall Down, is what he called it. Fatty Fall Down.
Right. The Matt, because he would always fall and break the table.
He fell in every fucking thing in all of his movies. I mean, Black Sheep, there's a whole fucking scene where he's rolling down a hill for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was really Chris Farley. He did his own stuff.
No, he did. Yeah. The thing that was great about Farley, without getting into a whole, because I know we want to get into other stuff too, but one of the things that was great about Farley that I always loved was, and this, from what I understand, drove Lorne Michaels nuts, was people couldn't keep it together when they were in sketches with him, because he was just that over the top. Like, you would watch sketches and you'd see, like, Sandler... Spade especially, but Sandler too. Yeah. Just losing. All right, yeah. Like the Gap Girls. Like I remember a specific one with the Gap Girls where I forget
Lay off, man, I'm starving.
Yeah, but it wasn't that one. I forget what the he was laughing. You remember that laugh he would do with the Gap Girl? That hey, like it was that.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it would be like, it would have that like lilt to it. It would be like up and down, like, and he did it the one time, and it was, and whatever it was, and Spade and Sandler both just fucking lost it.
For Matt Foley, the first sketch of Matt Foley, you could see Sandler just constantly putting his hands in front of his face, trying to make it look like he's just not laughing.
Oh, yeah. No, it's Spade.
Farley,
you said Sandler. It was Spade.
Spade, sorry.
Yeah.
And then Farley sees that he's making Spade laugh. So he's just like, oh, it sounds like you're not using your right for writing. It's for rolling doobies.
Yeah.
You just see Spade just like, oh, fuck. And then lift him up and then, oh, Matt's going to be your shadow. Here's Matt. Here's you. Then falls on the table and just destroys him.
Yeah.
And that wasn't planned, allegedly. So seeing Spade's reaction is like the most natural, like, oh my God, he broke a fucking table.
Right. And and jumped right up like nothing happened. We mentioned earlier, and maybe we'll do a deeper dive on this subject later, but, we talked earlier about some of the sketches that it really did work as movies and some sketches that didn't do so well as movies, They never did a Matt Foley movie, but I kind of wonder how that would have done.
Just be him eating a whole block of government cheese in a van down by the river.
Well, no, but I would envision it almost like a Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, like a road trip thing where he's, advising people as they go.
Motivational speaking at like schools and shit.
Or just random people's houses, just like, yeah.
Well,
with some kind of main goal at the end. Like, I don't know what that would have been, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, think about it. Like, that's sort of what Tommy Boy is.
Yeah, no, and Tommy Boy's probably the only Farley movie I like that he did, unfortunately,
Yeah. I mean, he would have been, he was, originally Shrek.
I did not know that.
There's actually, he actually started recording a lot of the Shrek dialogue.
So there's audio. Yeah.
There's audio online. You can listen to it. It's weird. Because we're now so used to Shrek being like, oh, hey, donkey, like Scottish shit. Because that's what Mike Myers actually, he recorded it straight first. And he's like, you know what? No. Shrek needs to be Scottish. And then had them, he had to, go back and redub the entire fucking movie with a Scottish accent. It put, the studio, back, another $10 million.
Yeah.
God damn it, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, but then considering how much money they've made, I think they kind of cut that back in spades.
Yeah, but has anyone seen past, 2
of
Shrek 2?
Yeah. Those Shrek movies make bank. Yeah. I haven't, but I mean, I know they make bank.
Yeah. I saw 1 and 2 and I'm like, that's it. I saw Puss in Boots.
But yeah, I mean,
Chris Farley was original. It's weird because it's Chris Farley. He's not like, all I'm trying to tell you is get out of my swamp.
Yeah.
It's just Chris Farley, but green is really what it is.
Right. And it's just a shame we're not getting more of Chris, because I think he would have taken the route of Robin Williams. And I don't mean the end. I mean the path.
The seriousness.
I think he would have done both. I think he still would have got your comedic movies, but he also would have done some of those serious movies as well.
Did we discuss the alleged curse of the Fatty Arbuckle role?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know who Fatty Arbuckle was?
The name sounds familiar, but I can't say that I do.
His name was Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, and he was he's now synonymous with a rape and murder.
Oh, well, that's great.
Yeah, but he was a silent film star who, was up par with Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, Harold Lloyd. He was just that guy. He was the fat guy, but he was a Chaplin-esque character.
Right.
And he got in the first Hollywood scandal was Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. And then Chaplin dated an underage girl, and then now everyone only thinks about that. But it was him, it was a rape and murder. There's a whole trial and yada, 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 and it completely fucking ruined him. There have been so many attempts, well, maybe not so many, but 3 major attempts to try and bring a Fatty Arbuckle story to screen. Number 1 was John Belushi. He was in the process of getting ready to do it, and then he died. Number 2 was Farley. John Candy.
Oh, okay.
And then he died. Like every single time it was them in the midst of pre-production and like script rewrites and like, okay, the next movie's going to be Fatty Arbuckle. And then it was Chris Farley. Like the three biggest heavyset
Big guys,
that wasn't like, Laurel and Hardy, or I'm sorry, Hardy, and then Lou Costello were these three guys.
Yeah.
Candy, Belushi, and Farley. So, I mean, now it's kind of like been shelved. It's the unproduced, like, you know what it is? It's the Macbeth of biopics.
Right.
Because there's that whole thing of like, you don't say Macbeth, you call it the Scottish play. Well, if you're fat and you want to be a dramatic, actor, and you're also a comedian, don't do Fatty Arbuckle because you'll die.
Well, I'm sure you weren't alluding to this, and we'll certainly come back to this later, but you and I talked yesterday, and you mentioned a comedy special that Sandler did on Netflix that I did go and watch before we recorded. Good. Yeah. And he sings a song that he also sang on Saturday Night Live. I think it's a slightly longer version of it, but it's essentially the same song.
Yeah.
Honoring Farley. And at one point, he talks about how he said to Farley, you're going to end up like Candy and Belushi if you don't, like, knock it off.
Yeah.
And apparently Farley's response was, those guys are my heroes, so that's fine with me. And here we are,
Belushi and Farley both died at the same age.
Yeah.
And both of
the same.
It wasn't the exact same thing. It was a speedball combination.
Right. And technically Farley died of a heart attack as a result of, he didn't die of an overdose. He had a heart attack brought on by.
He died of a heart attack brought on by the overdose.
Right.
And
right.
for being 400 pounds and.
Yes, but I'm saying you can die flat out from an overdose versus a heart attack brought on by drug use. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that makes it any better, but yeah.
Farley's death is really sad. I've seen the photos.
Yeah,
there's photos.
Deb and I were talking about it. She's seen them too. I have not, and I don't think I want to.
You don't want to. It's really they're ugly. It's an autopsy photo without the
cut open,
without being cut open. It's just it's a sad death, and it's really sad because someone took the photos. It was a hooker that was with him, and he overdosed and fell on the floor and passed out, and she just decided to take photos. Like, she could have saved that motherfucker's life.
Well, maybe. I mean, depends on how you don't know all the details like that. She could have
tried.
She could have tried, sure, of course.
No, she left, and then his brother
found him.
Kevin P. Farley found him.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Chris.
I know you have. And it's come up both on air and off air a couple times. And not saying that in a shitty way, just it's come up.
But you brought the Sandler special, and that's great. Did you like the Sandler special?
Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting, but yeah.
No.
But yeah, I did. And we'll talk about it, but since we've been talking about Farley's passing, I want to... I mean, there's been several that have passed on, like Gilda Radner passed away, but she passed away from, like, cancer, and that doesn't make it any less tragic, but it's nothing...
She died of ovarian cancer. She was also the wife of Gene Wilder.
Right. But the person I wanted to talk about briefly, with no disrespect to Gilda Radner or anyone else for that matter, is Hartman, because that was another, like, out of left field... And that one isn't even his fault, like, that's the even more tragic thing. Like, not saying Farley deserved it or anything, but, like, he brought that upon himself,
Well, he and Belushi partied hard and died even harder, but, like, Phil Hartman, you're right. You remind me of when Hartman and Farley both actually left at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of that cast left at the same time.
But they left at the same time, and they did a closing song together.
Oh, really?
It's online, where Hartman is sitting on the stage, and Farley is, like, cuddled up against him, leaning his head against his shoulder, and Hartman is, like, doing a goodbye, farewell kind of song.
Okay.
And you watch it now, and you can't help but fucking cry, because
what?
They were both dead within...
months.
Like, months of each other.
Yeah. I don't normally show our hand on this show, but I think that might have to be our damn it for this week, for this episode, So I'll have to see if I can find it.
Or ending it with the Sandler Farley song.
Yeah, either one. I think that's appropriate. Anyway, not to make it all sad, but we can't not talk about it. It's a part of what happened with the show and the cast, and you and I have big proponents for getting help if you have mental illness, and that's a great talk about this because that's what happened with his wife. She had, I don't know the specifics, but she had a mental illness that's been confirmed.
She also was heavily addicted to cocaine.
Okay. I don't think I knew that, but
I know a little bit of backstory. So Andy Dick.
Am I incorrect about the mental illness? Because I thought she had that too.
You're not incorrect.
Okay.
You are correct that she has a mental illness, but it was made worse with her cocaine use.
Sure.
And the comedian, and I say that term very fucking loosely, Andy Dick, was heavily supplying her.
Well, there's a lot of negative stories about Andy Dick that we won't get into.
I can't stand the motherfucker. At one point, he got in Lovitz's face because Lovitz got into an argument with him at a restaurant, and Andy Dick said, "I'm going to put the Phil Hartman curse on you."
Oh.
And allegedly, we could talk shit about John Lovitz too.
Yeah.
John Lovitz comes off very good in this story.
Right.
He apparently fucking grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the wall. Which, to be fair, it's Andy Dick. It's not that difficult to do that.
Right. And it sounds like he kind of deserved it. Like you said, we're not the biggest Lovitz fans, but that's not the way to go.
Because I'm a motherfucker.
Acting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, anyway.
Andy Dick, and I would say he could eat a dick, but I think he'd like to go down that way.
He does, yeah.
But yeah, he supplied, I don't remember Hartman's wife's name, but he supplied the cocaine. She was being really manic, and Hartman was really he had tried leaving her at one point.
Yes, I'd heard that.
And he was trying to get her help, and I mean, Hartman was Canadian. He was really trying to fucking work shit out,
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys where you look at the persona, and he was very kind of like, "Hi, I'm squeaky clean. I'm Phil Hartman." And then you think, oh, there's got to be some seediness behind that. But I honestly think Phil Hartman was just a really good dude through and through. He sometimes played slightly seedy characters, like on The Simpsons. He was Troy McClure, who's always, the actor has been. And then he was Lionel Hutz, the lawyer, who was just eventually, because out of respect, of Hartman's passing, you never saw those characters again. And they kind of replaced them with, the shrewd lawyer, that guy, the blue-haired player.
The Simpsons have always been good about that. If someone, and we talked about it briefly on a previous episode, so we don't need to deep dive it again, but if someone passes who's done the voices, they usually just they either acknowledge it in a very positive way, or they just let them slip away, but not in a shitty way, just showing respect.
Retire gracefully, yeah.
Right,
which is really weird because, very clearly, I don't know his Zap Manigan or whatever the fuck his name is from Futurama.
Okay.
Do you know who I'm talking about? He's the he's the buff guy who's the head, he's the captain of a spaceship on Futurama. His name is Zip Manigan or something.
Oh, yeah. I didn't watch the show, but I know who you're talking about. He's a blonde character, and yeah.
Yeah. He's so clearly based on a Phil Hartman type character that we're oh, fuck. We don't have Phil Hartman, but we made such a great character. We're going to have the guy do an impression of Phil Hartman.
So, I want to move on to some other, the stuff, the movie parts. But before we get there, just a little last history or trivia, if you will, of Saturday Night Live. So, and I think you'll appreciate this, and I'm going to actually ask you the question first. Who is the first host of Saturday Night Live? Now, I have it here, so I don't...
I know George Carlin.
Which, holy fuck, like...
But here's the thing.
He wasn't Carlin like he got to be.
Well, he was, but because this is 1975, he was still long-haired, beard,
okay,
shit, pitch, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, Carlin, but he wasn't doing any sketches. At the time, he was the host, but he was just doing stand-up in between sketches. That's all it was.
It wasn't like it is now, yeah.
No, not even close.
But still.
You're right. It's a weird, wow.
It's still a good, it's still a good grab, you know what I mean?
I would have loved to have seen Carlin do some fucking sketches, Yeah,
definitely, for sure. Do you know who the first female host was? Only 3 episodes after that.
I don't, but could you give me a hint and I could try and guess it?
I think the only hint I can come up with, I think would give it away, but...
I don't know, but I'm going to say, I don't know, Lucille Ball.
No.
Was I even close?
No.
Okay.
I was trying to think of baby, but no. Candice Bergen.
Candice Bergen? Who's Candice Bergen?
Murphy Brown.
What the hell's Murphy Brown?
Oh my god. All right, fuck you. Never mind. Moving on. Do you really
Candice
not know,
Bergen.
or are you just fucking with me?
No, I know Murphy Brown and I know Candice Bergen, but I don't know... I've never seen, I know the name Candice Bergen.
Okay.
But I kept thinking, the chick who plays DJ in fucking Full House? Well, that's Candice something.
That's Candice Cameron.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know.
Candice Bergen is, and this is before Murphy Brown, so I don't know specifically why she hosted it that time. Not that she didn't deserve it, but I don't know what would have made her, because Murphy Brown is really what made her,
What's the premise of Murphy Brown? It sounds like a law show or a cop show.
It's a TV news show. Actually, she was she was on a 6 o'clock news kind of thing, and it was its own network. So it wasn't ABC, CBS, any of those. It was its own network, but it wasn't cable network. It was like a fictional broadcast network.
Okay,
and,
I get what you're saying.
And so
it was
you'd
like
have
Weekend Update, but all show.
Yeah, but it wasn't. They would try to do real news. She got into it with Dan Quayle, for real.
Really?
Yeah. Because in the latter seasons of Murphy Brown, and we're going way off here, but in the latter season of Murphy Brown, the character had a child out of wedlock.
Mm-hmm.
And this was in the height of George H.W. Bush's presidency. So Dan Quayle was his vice president.
So this is George H.W. Bush was president
80s.
in late 80s, early 90s.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Murphy Brown was after. It also ran for I think 10 seasons. It was on for a while. Yeah.
Fair enough.
And Dan Quayle at a campaign speech took a shot at Murphy Brown, not Candice Bergen, at Murphy Brown for having a child out of wedlock and destroying family values in America. And they did a whole fucking 4 episodes on it and just murdered at him. It was...
Wow.
Yeah. It's a good show, man. If you can go watch, because Murphy Brown unfortunately fell into the cycle of reboots that have been going on lately. Mm-hmm. Will and Grace and all these other shows. The Connors, which actually is still running. I think it's one of the only ones still running. Will and Grace actually is ending.
I didn't even know Will and Grace came back.
It was the first one to start this. Will and Grace was the first one. It came back and it did so well that it spawned all these other reboots. The original Murphy Brown, if you can find it. I don't know if it's on Hulu.
I don't know. Maybe I'll see if we have it at work. That'd be interesting.
I don't think it ever got put on DVD or anything, so I don't know. You can look, but I don't think so. It's a good show though.
Okay.
Anyway. But she was the first female host.
Okay.
You and I talked about this off air yesterday, I believe. Do you want to guess who has the most hostings right now?
Was I right when I said it last night?
I don't remember what you said.
I said Steve Martin.
No.
Okay.
No. You're not wrong because he was just passed in the last couple of years. He was number one until 2017.
Okay, so it's got to be Tom Hanks.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
One more guess, and then we're moving on.
It's not Lovitz.
No.
Not even close.
Not even
Lovitz
close. No.
Alec Baldwin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baldwin took over the number one spot on February 11th, 2017, and holds the record for hosting, having performed the duty 17 times since 1990. So in 20 years, he's hosted 17 times.
Not to mention, he's come on even when he's not the host, just to play Donald Trump.
And a couple other roles before Trump. Yeah, he's been on. Another piece of interesting. Another piece of interesting trivia. Eddie Murphy is the only person to host the show while still a member of the cast.
Yeah, someone canceled, so he took over.
I have who, if you want to tell.
Who canceled?
Nick Nolte.
I can't do this shit anymore. That's what Nick Nolte sounds like now.
Yeah. The last thing we'll get into, I'm going to see if I can get it to come up real quick here. The Five Timers Club.
What?
The Five Timers Club.
Uh-huh. When Eddie took over for Nick Nolte, he said, "Live from New York, it's the Eddie Murphy Show." Like, he didn't even call it.
That's funny.
He's like, "Fuck you guys, it's the Eddie Murphy Show."
There's some interesting people in this Five Timers Club that I would not have guessed, honestly. And some of them more recent. Like Jonah Hill's in the Five Time Club.
Jonah Hill?
Yeah. ScarJo is in the Five Timer Club.
I've seen ScarJo did one. Adam Driver did one recently, and he did a really interesting monologue.
I'm sure he did. Drew Barrymore's in the Five Timers Club.
Yeah, but Drew Barrymore was doing shit in the 80s, so that makes sense.
Well, let's see. Her last appearance, because what I have here is their first, their fifth, and the time it took to get there, and then their most recent appearance. Like, it's all listed right here. Uh-huh. Drew Barrymore's most recent one was in 2009, and that was her sixth.
The hell was Drew Barrymore doing in 2009?
Is it Charlie Angels, maybe?
No. The first two, the only Charlie's Angels was like 2001 and then like 2004.
Okay.
What the fuck was Drew Barrymore doing in 2009?
Don't know.
I don't know. She might have started doing like directing around that time. Maybe.
According to this, do you want to guess who number two is? And now
number two for what context?
Hosted like number of times. Or I'm sorry, I'll give you just the top three, and then we'll move on. But
the top most hosts?
Host, yeah, most times hosting. So we know Baldwin's one.
Okay. Is Steve Martin one of them?
He's number two. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm just going to go on a stab here. Tom Hanks is in three?
No, he's not.
Okay. Can you tell me the number of times they hosted?
Hanks is actually fifth, just so you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
13 is the number for number three.
Were they a cast member?
No.
Okay.
None of the closest cast member in this list is Chevy Chase.
Fuck Chevy Chase.
I'm just saying, like, in terms of you asked about cast.
I don't know. Who's number three?
It's Goodman. John Goodman.
That makes so much sense.
Right. No, he's been on there a bunch. I didn't realize it was this many. And he hasn't done it since 2013, so it's been a while since he's done it. But
yeah. Okay.
The other thing that's really kind of interesting to me is, so what it has here is how quickly it took you to get to the Five Timers Club, right? And you and I were talking off air yesterday about, we actually had a minor debate about whether or not Steve Martin was even a cast member. Because I said he was.
I told you he wasn't.
No, I'm saying, no, I wasn't. I was saying that I said he was, and you said he wasn't. To your point that he wasn't, it took him 1 year and 181 days to host it 5 times. So in the course of a year and a half, he hosted that show 5 times.
Yeah, that doesn't count. He was not a cast member.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it just to your point of him, because you said to me he hosted it so often he seemed like a cast member, but he wasn't.
Right.
That's what you said to me, and that's just my point. Because the next closest is a guy named Buck Henry, who I've never heard of.
I know the name Buck Henry, but I couldn't tell you.
He hasn't hosted the thing since 1980.
He's probably dead.
I'm thinking that. I'm actually about to click on it. Yes, but he just died this year, like a month ago.
Oh. What the fuck is Buck Henry?
Buck Henry, he's an American actor, screenwriter, and director. He is twice nominated for an Academy Award for The Graduate for adapted screenplay, and director for Heaven Can Wait.
Is he the guy?
He looks a bit like Spacey. Like his face looks like Spacey. It's not him, but
is he the guy in the cheeseburger sketch?
Fuck if I know. I'm not even gonna lie.
I want to say like there's a guy in the fuck you customer care text message.
Anyway,
we're kind of going.
Oh shit! You remember the Katana Samurai sketch with Belushi?
Yeah.
He actually apparently cut this guy on stage.
That's who I thought it was. It wasn't a cheeseburger. It was he actually fucked up a dude with a katana. I knew Belushi was involved.
Belushi's the one that fucked him up.
I know, but fuck, of course it's Belushi.
Anyway,
he gave him like a bunch of cocaine as an apology.
Yeah. I want to get back to what we wanted to talk about because we've gone way off the rails here a little bit. But so, do you want to talk about the actors and their movies first, or do you want to try to talk about some of these sketches that succeeded movie wise?
I mean, a little bit of both. I mean, because
I guess they go hand in hand, don't they?
They do. I mean, if you talk about Mike Myers, you're going to talk about the two
Wayne's World,
and then you're also going to talk about Austin Powers, which is not a SNL sketch, but it could have been in a roundabout way. It is.
I could see it being one,
of course, and also Dr. Evil's voice is actually based on Lorne Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember seeing that in an interview with.
No, everybody who does a Lorne Michaels impression sounds like they're doing a Dr. Evil impression. It's really weird,
right?
Oh well, you just can't come in like that. No, I mean, Mike Myers is a really good example because he hasn't really made a whole career of amazing movies. I mean, you got Shrek. We talked about Shrek,
right?
But that was lucky. You know?
And then you have, like you said, Austin Powers, you have Wayne's World, but then you also have So I Married an Ex-Murderer, which is terrible, It's not terrible. It's got actually a big cult following. Like, that movie rents so fucking much. Really? I'm surprised.
Because it's set in San Francisco.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I could see that.
It's just also a dark, underrated comedy, but like...
I mean, this is probably not a great analogy, but like, it's like, I guarantee you Rocky rents more here than it does there. Not that that's... But Rocky's more... a more popular movie than So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah, I mean... I would compare it to like, which rents more? Rocky 5? Or...
Oh, no.
So I...
No. Yeah.
Well, it's still in Philly. There's still some pride.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. But anyway...
and then you get Austin Powers, which you're right. Seems like it would have been a sketch, like from SNL, just like British sort of over exaggerated 60s spy with the fucked up teeth, the fucked up glasses, and
do I make you horny, baby?
Not when you talk like that.
Apparently, we make Jay horny, but
Jay, do I make you horny, baby? Awesome. I mean, I would see a fourth one if they do it right. I mean, I loved them all when they came out because I was a fucking kid. They're really kind of like juvenile movies.
Goldmember pushed it for me, I feel like. I think he took it too far with that one. Like, he was him doing like 4 roles in that movie was like, come on.
Right, because 3 roles is just, perfect.
Well, what?
Awesome, evil, fat bastard.
Yeah.
Goldmember just wasn't funny. You know what I mean?
No. And look, I know the Bay Hive is going to come after me for this one, but Beyonce was terrible. I'm sorry.
I haven't really can't compare her acting to anything else apart from like she
no, but
played
I like
Edna James once.
No, right, but I'm saying like compared to like the
Anybody
previous
else?
and the previous female sidekicks he had in the first two.
Heather Graham and Elizabeth Hurley.
Yeah, I was blanking on their names, so I apologize. But yeah,
and also there was the OG female sidekick that was in like she was the mother of Elizabeth Hurley's character.
I can't.
I
don't.
Mimi Rogers. Which, by the way, Mimi Rogers is the one who first married Tom Cruise and got him into Scientology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that did good well, and
the ultimate irony is that Beyonce may have been like the quote unquote worst one of the three female leads of the Austin Powers, but like when was the last time you saw Elizabeth Hurley or Heather Graham in a fucking movie?
For sure, but
I mean, Heather Graham was in everything in the fucking 90s and 2000s. She was the hot blonde chick.
I had heard, and I don't want to get into a deep thing on this because we got more important things to talk about, but I'd heard that Alicia Silverstone was supposed to be one of them at one point. And
then Batman and Robin came out, and they were like, haha, no.
Or I don't know what caused her not to do it, but
maybe it was her doing her birding thing with her fucking kid.
No, I think that was after the fact. But
that's so weird.
It is weird.
So weird. And she's like a vegan, so she's just eating tofu and spitting in her kid's mouth.
Anyway.
Imagine for 1 second being Alicia Silverstone's kid and being like, why did you do that? Because you asked me to do that. You're an adult. You're not supposed to do that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But, yeah, so there's that. There's those movies from Myers. You have, obviously the Farley ones we talked about. Some of them were real busts, but Tommy Boy did well,
Tommy Boy, Black Sheep. I mean, a lot of them were money makers.
But I don't think Beverly Hills Ninja did well money wise.
I think Beverly Hills Ninja has a cult following. I think that movie made money based on how many times I rented that when I was a kid.
Right, but and I hate to say it this way, but does it have a cult following because Farley died? Like, if he was still alive, would it be as popular? And I don't think so.
No, because he did make a movie called Almost Heroes. I always confuse between Almost Famous and Almost Heroes. Right. Almost Heroes, where it's with him and Matthew Perry, and while Lewis and Clark are on their expedition, it's these other guys.
I remember
trying
that
at the same time. Yeah. And that movie, it was his quote unquote last official film. He had a cameo in a movie that was released after he died. And so people were like, oh my God, what the fuck, Chris Farley. But, Almost
people
Heroes.
know we record these things or we film these things long before. Yeah.
But this was also like a year or two after he died. So it was a real shock for everyone to be like, oh, what the fuck?
Right,
He's back from the dead. How long did this take to film? So whereas I'm a sucker for most Farley comedies. I think Beverly Hills Ninja actually had a weird following because I'm like, of course, Chris Farley as a ninja, what could fucking go wrong? Everything. Let's watch it.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I watched the movie a lot. And it also kind of helped that Chris Rock was in it.
Rock, I feel like is underrated sometimes when you think of these casts from Saturday Night Live. Do you know what I mean?
I don't remember Rock being a prominent sketch cast member.
He was always a add-in to a lot of sketches. He didn't star in a lot of sketches. He had a couple that were really good, but for the most part, he had one. I forget the name of the character, but he was this African and it was very similar to the director role he does in Strike Back. It's
angry black guy.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking of a better word for it, but no.
I mean, it's not racist. It's just what he was.
No, it's not. I didn't think it was either, but I was just trying to think of a better word for it. That's all. Anyway, But
not happy African American guy.
But he was in that sketch I talked about with the waiters. You know, he was in that one. He'd be in a lot of other sketches. He was in a lot of like. There's a Christmas sketch with Hartman that I remember where he's one of the kids. Like, but he's just there. He's not.
But you know, he wasn't an Eddie Murphy. You know what I'm saying? Like Eddie Murphy made a joke. He's like, it's the Eddie Murphy show. It's like, yeah, because it was like it really like Eddie Murphy. It was so weird. Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo were like the guys running SNL for
years,
like 1981 to 85 or something.
Yeah.
And then but where the fuck is Joe Piscopo? Nowhere. Who the fuck even like, he's just now the butt of all the jokes. That's what Joe Piscopo is.
I can't say specifically where, but I was a call center rep for a bank for a while.
Yeah.
And we had accounts from all over the East Coast.
Okay. I'm
pretty certain I helped Joe Piscopo with his bank account one day.
So you helped ruin Joe Piscopo?
No. This was anyway.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
Piscopo and Eddie Murphy.
If I'm right, he was pleasant as fuck. Like he was a nice guy. He wasn't.
He's always a genial, fucking nice guy.
Well, I've helped some other celebrities that I'm not going to name that were not
really
so friendly. Yeah.
Oh, you have to tell me off air.
Yeah. You probably wouldn't know them because they're more like local celebrities to this area, but they're people that I would know, so you may not know. Anyway.
If they've been in a fucking movie, I probably know who it is.
No, they're not all movie people, is what I'm saying. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
The cast of Murphy Brown?
Yes, the cast of Murphy Brown. I helped every one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Piscopo and Eddie Murphy did a, you asked me about what sketches I like. They did a Sinatra and
I think
Stevie
I remember
Wonder.
that one. Yes, I think I remember that one. Yeah.
And Piscopo, see, like Phil Hartman did a Sinatra impression where it's like older.
I remember that. Yeah.
Sinatra.
Drunk, angry Sinatra.
Not drunk, but just like, he had like a whole like dais of fucking weird guests like Billy Idol. And like, he's just like, hey, yo, Billy, what's with the sneer? Why don't you try smiling? Okay. Like, giving just like trashing on the fucking
I don't know,
panel that he has.
What was this? Like a Friars Roast type sketch?
No, it was like a talk show host that Sinatra.
Oh, because there's one that he did that sticks out from it's same thing. It's Hartman as Sinatra, but he's doing like a charity album and he's doing all these duets. So it's like a conga line of people like Billy Idol and them. Okay. And he's drinking and he's angry and he's like, what the fuck am I singing? He's not saying fuck because he's on Saturday Night Live, but like he's like, what am I singing? There's been an incident of it happening, I know, but that's not, yeah. But he's there and he's angry and it gets to a point where like instead of doing the whole song, he's like doing a line and he's like, next! And they bring in the next guy and like
I do kind of vaguely remember that.
It's a funny sketch.
Well, my point was Hartman didn't care that he was like, but Piscopo knew as an Italian American, you gotta fucking like, if Sinatra's alive, you better ask permission. And he did. He wrote a letter to Frank and was like, I just want you to know I respect you. I would never do anything to insult you. Please don't get your goons to break my legs. But I would like to play you on SNL. I just want you to know, like, I would like your blessing. And Frank was like, you do you, kid. Go ahead. And then you could actually see, like, I like Phil Hartman. I love Phil Hartman as a person, but like, I thought Piscopo's impression was actually better.
Yeah.
It was a better job because he actually kind of sang and it kind of was like, okay, it's not as good as Sinatra singing, but it's like Sinatra singing. And it's him and Stevie Wonder played by Eddie Murphy. And they're doing a weird kind of rendition of Ebony and Ivory. And Piscopo Sinatra he's like, you are black, I am white, life's an Eskimo pie, let's just take a bite. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Eddie Murphy, in terms of impersonators on SNL, Eddie Murphy was one of the greatest.
Hartman. Hartman's another one I think was really good.
But Hartman,
Carvey's the best. Dana Carvey,
the
best.
Is definitely a master impressionist. Sometimes with Hartman, you can hear the Hartman voice. Like when I do an impression, you can still hear my voice do an impression. Some are better than others. Like
sure.
When I do the Joker, it sounds like the Joker. But when I do like Seth Rogen, you can still hear Rico, but Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen, yeah.
Same with Robin Williams. Like you could pick Robin Williams could do a bunch of impressions, but you could pick Robin Williams doing a Nicholson impression as opposed to like Frank Caliendo, because Robin Williams always sounded like Robin. And I think Hartman and Dana Carvey both fell in that kind of trope.
It depended on who he was doing, because I have to disagree with you there, because like his Bush is spot fucking on. His George Bush is spot on.
Okay.
And his Ross Perot was pretty fucking good too, you know.
Okay, but that's because no one else was impersonating Ross Perot. So like he had no competition.
Well, granted, but still, just real quick, going back to the thing about Sinatra and Piscopo writing to him, it makes me think of a line from Ocean's 13 when he's like, you shook Sinatra's hand, Willie, and he's, you
should have known better.
You should have known better, right?
It's like like this weird unofficial club of like, you shook Sinatra's hand, therefore you should be a good dude. It's like Sinatra shook hands with everybody. He was Sinatra.
Right, but it implied like this membership, and then for Willie, Pacino's character to come over to the top and be like, screw Sinatra's hand, was like, because it gives Elliot Gould the heart attack, and it sends Danny and Rusty off on their thing, which is
the revenge thing, which for a fan like me to hear Pacino be like, screw Sinatra, and I'm like, fuck you, Al Pacino. That's not nice. A little more background, because obviously Ocean's 11 is a remake of Sinatra's version of Ocean's 11.
Right.
When Brad Pitt's first introduced, he's like leaning outside of his car eating like nachos or something, or an orange or something. It's before they bring him into the poker room. He's outside having a snack.
He's standing outside eating, I believe it is nachos. I think you're right. Yeah.
He's staring at a billboard of Sinatra, but they didn't want to be too on the nose, so they cut the thing.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, because it's, at the time it was like, he wasn't in Las Vegas, but he was in Hollywood.
He was in LA. Yeah, he was in LA. Yeah.
But, what other, there was a sketch that I like. I mean, Adam Sandler is another one, because I think I didn't really particularly like a lot of Sandler's sketches, but I did like a lot of the, like, I loved the Hanukkah song.
Yeah. There's that one. This wasn't a sketch. See, Sandler, to me, while some of his sketches were really good, like the Gap Girls, which was probably made more by Spade and Farley, to be fair, but yeah.
To be fair, it's probably just made by Farley, if we're really being honest.
Right, but if you had to cut one of those three out, it was Sandler, because you needed Spade. I think you needed Spade, yeah. But his bits on the Weekend Update were almost second to none, in my opinion. Like Sandler, right? Like Opera Man, for example. You mentioned him earlier. That's one of his best bits, and it works. It really only works at the Weekend Update desk. He did one where he was just Sandler, but he was doing like crazy Halloween things, and it was like, I'm Crazy Spoon Man. I got a spoon on my head, and like it was ridiculous, but it was...
I'm Crazy Spoon Man. Shut up!
Yeah. I got a spoon on my head! It was that kind of thing where he gets, like, angry and yells, It
was like,
give me some candy!
It was like if you're dressing up for Halloween on a budget.
Right, that's totally what it was. But then he would also do his songs there. That's where he debuted the Hanukkah song. That's where he debuted the Red Hooded Sweatshirt song.
And then he did Lunch Lady, the Lunch Lady with Farley as a lunch lady with a mole on his face.
Yeah, I think that was actually a sketch too, though. I think that turned into a sketch ultimately.
I don't know. It wasn't a sketch. It was just a. Hi, I'm Adam Sandler. I wanted to play with my guitar. And, how are you?
Yeah. Which going back to that special you recommended, is a lot of that. There's a lot of him.
Yeah, I told you it's a lot. It's more musical than you expect because it's intercut with like him doing stand up at 3 or 2 different venues. 5. Okay,
5,
fuck.
Yeah.
5 different venues intercut. So it's like he does a musical number or a rap, and then it's like a fucking little like he has like 2 jokes, and then it goes somewhere else. Like it's the most eclectic special.
But it's not hard to watch. Yeah, it totally works, and it was fun to watch. And I'll be honest with you, when he went into the Farley song, I had tears.
I told you. It was hard, man.
It was hard. And I'd already heard it. I'd heard it on an SNL before I saw this. And it's still,
I still think Phone Wallet Keys is one of the funniest
that
things
was
he's
funny.
done.
That was pretty, that was pretty funny.
It's like, there's the part, he's like, I got on the plane, it was a Delta. The guy next to me farted. I smelt it. Oh, it was a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. He got to be Sandler and, do some bits, do some music and tell some jokes. Cause he's actually a talented stand-up. If you go find some of his old stand-up, he's actually pretty good stand-up, Well,
or you could just watch the opening part of Funny People.
Right, which actually is a movie I really enjoyed. I enjoyed that movie quite a bit.
I enjoy that movie, but it's still 45 minutes too fucking long, and the whole fucking Leslie Mann, kids, Adam Sandler thing is just, God, you could have trimmed so much of that movie. It would have been so much better.
I like the part with, oh God, why am I blanking on his name? The singer.
Ray Romano?
What?
Oh, the singer?
Yeah, fuck. I'm gonna have to look it up now because that's gonna bother me. But yeah, because he's a famous. What's that?
Eminem?
No, it's a famous like legendary singer that's in the movie, and he's like gets invited. If I remember correctly, he gets invited to a party, and I can't remember his name. I'm blanking on his name, and he plays himself, like he's playing himself.
He does a thing. And he's like, "You ever get?" Rogan's like, "You ever get tired of singing the same song over and over again?" He's like,
"No."
You ever get tired of talking about your dick?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's. Where is it? Hold on, I'll find it because that's gonna bother me. Oh shit, Eric Bana's in that movie. I forgot.
Yeah, Eric Bana plays the most Australian Eric Bana dude.
RZA is in this movie. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Dude, just everybody's in that fucking movie. Ray Romano's in that fucking movie.
Yeah,
and Eminem yells, he's like, "Ray, do you want to fuck me?" He's like, I don't know. He's yelling.
James
at me about
Taylor. That's who I've been thinking of. Yeah. Because James Taylor, just to kind of to go back to your Sinatra point, in this movie, in this world, James Taylor is like the Sinatra. Like you get into James Taylor party and you're in. Like that was,
right.
So, and of course Andy Dick, fuck him.
It's so weird. There's a cameo because at one point in Funny People, like it's all the celebrity buddies that he knows going up to him. And like commenting, like Eminem saying, I think you should have died. I think you fucking made a mistake. And then Ray Romano, and then there's a guy named Charles Fleischer, I want to say.
Okay.
And he does this whole, and he's not he's one of those faces you're like, I recognize him, but I don't know who he is. And he does this whole bit with Sandler where he's like, I call, the
I know
devil's
who he
gonna
is.
call you on the phone. Like, hello, this is the devil. I didn't know, but that's the guy who plays Roger Rabbit.
Yep.
And then I made that weird connection when I rewatched the movie Zodiac. He has one of the creepiest scenes in Zodiac.
He does. Yep.
So you're watching him like, oh, fuck. Yeah.
He's also in Nightmare on Elm Street. He's apparently also on Nightmare on Elm Street.
He is in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. He plays a doctor who specializes in dreams, but then he says, the truth is, we actually don't know what dreams do. It's like, well, you're not a specialist then.
Yeah, right.
Right. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're like all of us. We're like, well, we don't know what they are. Which, by the way, I've always had a problem with the term a doctor practicing his medicine. I don't want someone to practice. I want a fucker who knows what he's doing. I want an expert who fucking be like, no, I have expertly figured out this form of medicine. Not, well, I'm still practicing. Practicing makes perfect. Fuck that. I want perfect. That's why I'm coming to you. Oh, well, shit. I guess I hadn't practiced enough. Where's my rubber gloves? So, and I'm not really being serious, but I get it. But the term practicing does not help. Like, you know?
Right, for real.
How long have you been practicing? 20 years. Should you know what the fuck you're doing then? If I was practicing riding a bike, you better hope I know how to get on that fucking thing.
Getting back to Sandler, though. Sandler's movies have really been kind of hit or miss. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel...
It's an up and down.
It really is. Because he's got some... Like, I know... And I'm definitely in the minority for this. But, like... Because I know people that love... Like, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore... You know, that era of Sandler movies, and I'm kind of like, meh. You know, I kind of like Happy Gilmore, but even that one, I'm not like, oh my god, I love it. You know,
right? I'm with you on that one. It's like if someone wanted to see it, I'd watch it, but it's not like, dude, I'm in the mood. Like I'm more in the mood to be like, dude, I want to rewatch Big Daddy.
Yes, that one I would rewatch. And Happy Gilmore, like, do you remember the list of movies we did where we talked about, like, you turn it on and you watch it if it's on? Like, we did that not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make my list of those movies, but it is one of those movies that if it's on, I'm not going to be like, okay, we'll turn this shit off. You know, like, it somehow...
Sure.
You know, I don't know why, but it does, you know.
Whereas Big Daddy, if I'm like, there's nothing to watch... And then I stumble upon like, oh, Big Daddy's halfway through on USA. I'm going to that channel.
Yeah,
I could kick back and watch Big Daddy every single time.
I haven't seen that movie in so long, but I loved it. I did. And then there's some great lines from it, and you know, memorable moments. And I think that's my second exposure to Buscemi.
I've always thought it was pronounced Buscemi.
Well, whatever. But yeah,
because he's done.
He's done both.
He said both, so he really likes to fuck with us.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, look at his characters for fuck's sake.
Hey, it's Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
You know, it's also Steve Buscemi. Make up your fucking mind.
My first exposure to him that was Con Air, because he's in that.
I still have not seen Con Air all the way through. I said Con Air by mistake.
Well, you know, you shaved this week. You're missing your yeah. But. You know, going back to the Sandler movies, like, but that's good, some great scenes in that one, you know, and then you get stuff like, well, I mean, if we're trying to do it in order, like, I'm a big fan of The Wedding Singer. I like that movie quite a bit. As much as I like Big Daddy, that might be my favorite Sandler movie.
It's really not mine. I think the ending song is really romantic and sweet. But it's really not. I've never been a real fan of The Wedding Singer. I like it may be one of the most popular ones that I've seen the least. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Because there's more recent ones that are like I just haven't seen at all.
Well, yeah, he's got that deal with Netflix now where he's like putting out a movie every other year or some shit. And I haven't seen most of those, you know, but
yeah. I saw The Ridiculous Six. That was for me like, oh, he doesn't even give a fuck. He just stopped giving a fuck.
Right.
He got his check. You know, he looks like he's having fun, but like,
yeah,
Sandler's not an idiot. Like, that's the whole point. Is that in this special we were talking about, he's got a heart and he's not a stupid man.
No,
and, you know, he's a real dude. You know, I don't think he plays the character real life. He's got children. You know, you can't be an irresponsible fucking guy in every movie.
And he's been with his wife for 20 plus years. Like, I mean,
which is rare as fuck.
Right.
And so, he's always putting her, she's always in his movies.
Right. And she's also taking a lot of the blunt of his jokes too. I mean, like, you know, so, but if you double back to The Wedding Singer, I think the reason for me, and we've talked about this kind of stuff before, I lived through the 80s. I remember a lot of that music. I remember a lot of that era. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's why that touches me a little more. You know what I mean? It just, like, I remember the guys like the fiance that Drew Barrymore's character has until the end. Yeah. And that one talks to me a little more. The thing that I love, I will tell you about this, is a good friend of mine got married. God, I guess it's 2020, so it's got to be 7 years ago now, 7 or 8 years ago. And their first dance was the song at the end, the I'll Grow Old With You.
I miss you.
Yeah.
Kiss you.
Which, by the way, the remake, if you will, that he made for his wife on that special was pretty badass too. I have to say, yeah.
It's weird because Sandler can sing.
He can play guitar too. I mean,
he can play guitar, but there's a big difference between put on your yarmulke,
right?
Time for. I mean, because then, did you ever see 8 Crazy Nights?
Once, yeah.
Okay, so that for a brief period, that was the movie that Michael and I would watch if we were hanging out around Christmas during the holidays, because it's a holiday movie, but it's naughty as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I was such a massive fan of all 3 iterations of the Hanukkah song, because it's 3 or 4
3 or 4,
versions,
something like that, yeah.
That I just was a whole movie more or less based on the fucking one of my favorite joke songs.
It's the Bad Santa of Jewish holidays, is what it is.
Sure. But also, when you listen to it, the songs are catchy, and it's Adam Sandler singing, and he sounds good. Yeah. And also, it's him doing character voices as well as singing that's a technical foul. The whole.
But see, then you get shit like Jack and Jill, which.
I'll tell you something funny. We have had Jack and Jill on the sales rack since I started working there.
Oh, I'm sure.
5 years.
And when that place closes, guess where it's going to be?
Where it should have been? The dumpster?
Yeah, well, maybe. But yeah.
What do you mean when that place closes? Man, have some fucking faith. Not all of us are going to lose their fucking jobs, CJ.
Ow!
Yeah. Well, you have, credentials. I'm a fucking video store clerk. Manager, dude.
That said, but then you get stuff like Click, which I think is underrated.
Agreed. And in a weird roundabout way, that sort of was a kind of inspiration for this conversation, because we were I was man, dude, I just rewatched Click. The fuck, that movie's so good. And Sandler's great in it.
Yeah, he's great in it. Kate Beckinsale's really good in it.
Which only Adam Sandler could get Kate Beckinsale to be his wife.
Right. Well,
although,
she did.
Fair, his real wife is hot too.
Yeah, and on top of that, she dated Pete Davidson. So, I mean, come on.
Which, earlier in this conversation, I said I actually had kind of defended Pete Davidson because there was a whole lot of, there's photos of them making out.
Yeah.
And so many people were like, Kate Beckinsale deserves better. He's such a piece of shit. He's such a trash. And I'm like, would you leave the guy alone? He's making out with Kate Beckinsale. You think he gives a fuck about it?
Right? That's what I'm saying. And apparently it was her idea. She likes the younger guys, apparently. But anyway.
Her fucking preference is all over the fucking place, dude. She was married to,
wasn't she married? Wasn't she married to her co-star from Underworld briefly? That guy?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm sorry. Michael Sheen. I was like, it's not Martin, it's not Charlie, it's Michael Sheen.
There you go.
Machine. So yeah, they were together, and then she, I think, started dating the director of Underworld.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, married him too, I believe.
She's all over not anymore.
Yeah.
So I think she was just I want young and dirty and covered in tattoos and.
Okay.
You do you. I mean. Whatever.
I was jealous, but
you be your cougar ass, Kate Beckinsale.
But yeah, Clicks and like I said, underrated. And to me, it's a more comedic version, which is odd to say considering the movie I'm going to cite also stars Robin Williams, but it's a comedic version of Bicentennial Man to me.
Really? Because it screams It's a Wonderful Life.
But so does Bicentennial Man to a degree.
How? How do you figure?
Have you seen Bicentennial Man?
Yeah, numerous times, which is why I'm confused.
Well, because that whole, like, moving forward, so it's maybe not as far in the future, but it's that whole, like, watching, the jumps and watching the people you care about. Like, you have that one constant character in Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams, watching, Little Miss and then her daughter, or her granddaughter, I should say, and, well, because I don't remember the character's other name.
Little Miss works, yeah.
Yeah. And then with her granddaughter, and the kids, her kids who don't like him, and that whole thing, I felt like there was a similar vibe within Click. It's not as stretched out, but the vibe's similar.
I'd have to rewatch Bicentennial Man to really see that comparison. For me, it's always been, It's a Wonderful Life.
That's not an unfair comparison. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but my brain goes to Bicentennial Man first.
Fair enough. One of the most frequent jokes that I think of that I've now adopted in my own jargon is whenever I take Sugar out to like go to the bathroom outside. Right. I was like, Stiffy Law Droppings, let's go.
That's funny. Do we want to talk about some of these other actors that have come off Saturday Night Live? Because we're skimming over some pretty big names here that we haven't talked about. I mean, you got Chevy Chase, you got Bill Murray.
Fuck you, Chevy Chase.
Yeah, well, I'm missing the why on that. I think
Chevy Chase is a giant ass bully, and no one in Hollywood likes him. Like, he is so egotistical.
Yeah,
that he does the whole like. Kevin Smith wrote about him. I don't know if he's talked about him on air or in a public thing, but he did a whole thing where he wanted to make a sequel or a remake of Fletch, which Chevy Chase has done.
He has talked about this. Yeah.
Well,
I don't remember the details. He's also talked about it. Yeah.
Okay. And Chevy Chase was Fletch, but he wanted to like make a Son of Fletch or Fletch Lives or
something like that.
With Jason Lee. And so they said, okay, well, you have to go and meet with Chevy to get approval and yada, yada, yada. And Kevin admittedly was like, dude, I was a massive Chevy Chase fan, which is why I want to do a Fletch movie.
Right.
So he meets up with Chevy, and Chevy apparently proceeds to tell Kevin that he is essentially, Chevy has created comedy. And that there was no comedy before Chevy Chase, and since he hasn't done it as much, everything else after him is not as funny. And then he just proceeded to
interesting.
He just proceeded to wear down Kevin Smith's interest. He just made him fall out of love of wanting to do a movie that he was really passionate about doing.
Sure.
But I mean, Chevy Chase got roasted by the Friars. And they were all so fucking mean that Chevy actually went home that night and sobbed uncontrollably because it finally hit him that he's not liked. And he did it himself. But he still was like, why are they being mean to me? Because you're fucking mean to everybody, dude. There's been so many stories about how, he was on whatever Parks and Rec or Community or whatever the fuck show he was on, where he was, abusing extras. Not in a sexual kind of way.
Right. Just bullying.
I have heard that as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think it just was kind of a sexual, flirtation, and he was just inappropriate with what he said.
Mm.
But that's because he's like, I'm Chevy Chase, and you're not. Which is his fucking, the way he introduces Weekend Update. He's like, I'm Chevy Chase, and you're not. But at the same time, it's an egotistical, I'm Chevy Chase, and therefore fuck you.
Okay.
He's just not liked, dude. And he got fired from that show because of how he was just treating everybody. I think Adam Scott went up against a scuffle with him. It was, Chevy Chase. Yeah, fine. Chevy Chase was on SNL, but even Bill Murray and Chevy got in a fist fight on SNL. Bill Murray, of all fucking people. It's, and we've actually talked about, just like with Will Ferrell, I'm not the biggest Bill Murray fan, but I definitely respect that he, whereas I respect Bill Murray. I'm like, you are funny to a certain degree, and I respect that you
Right.
you went your ropes. Whereas Chevy Chase is just a giant ego with legs.
Right. Murray just is a bit of misunderstood and maybe confused, whereas Chevy's well aware of what he's doing. You know.
Sure.
So I found a list here on the wiki that I've been, keeping up during this whole conversation, and I don't think these are the top 11 movies that are solely inspired by sketches.
But they have SNL connection. Is that really how it is?
I think they're all produced by SNL in some capacity, like Lorne Michaels. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to guess the most profitable one that's for him?
I could try. Let me think.
There's a couple of surprises on here. The most profitable shouldn't be, but there are a couple of surprises on here.
Okay, well, I'm going to guess, probably an Austin Powers one is the most profitable.
I don't think he produced those. Or at least if he did, it's not on this list. So I don't know how accurate this list is, but
okay.
Yeah.
Is it Wayne's World?
Yeah.
The first one?
First one.
Yeah. Okay.
But 2 is number 3.
Well, that's not a big surprise. What's number 2?
The Blues Brothers. The original.
Yeah.
The original Blues
makes
Brothers.
sense.
Yeah. Then you got...
That movie made all the money.
Yeah. And then you get into some of the surprises. I mean, maybe not terribly surprising, but things we didn't like. So number 4, Superstar. The Molly Shannon one with the...
Weird.
Number 5 is Night at the Roxbury.
Okay.
But then you get the Coneheads.
Really? Night at the Roxbury Superstar made more than Coneheads?
Only by $9 million, which I know doesn't sound like a lot of money, but
$9 million, yeah.
But I mean, compared to Wayne's World, that made $100. Okay, so just to put it in comparison, Superstar made $30.6 million. Okay.
What's its budget?
14.
Okay. So that's
now,
profit.
The most expensive budget on here is only $33 million on any of these, and ironically, that one lost money. But Wayne's World made $121.6 or almost $7 million.
Wow.
So
which right now that would be a fucking bomb if you think about it.
Well, but if you adjust for inflation, I bet you it's way more than that. But
Sure.
It only cost them $20 million to make it.
Because half of it's in a fucking basement.
Right. So, the $33 million one is Coneheads. And it only made 21.2.
Well, that's because of spaceship, prosthetics, monster
all that
shit,
stuff.
all that shit. Yeah.
There's a lot of special effects in that movie too, if you think about it. There's some special effects. So, but yeah, so Coneheads, then Blues Brothers 2000.
Ugh.
I've never seen that. I do want to see it.
So bad.
Is it?
It's so bad.
Because I like Aykroyd and I like Goodman. I would think it would be good.
That helps. Goodman helps. But you almost kind of want Aykroyd and Jim Belushi.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people thought was going to happen, and it ended up being Goodman instead.
But then you're like, but wait, how would that work? So, Jake had an actual brother that they never mentioned, and then he said, "Oh, well, me and Elwood are like the Blues Brothers because we're best friends because they're not real brothers. They were
right. Yeah.
orphans together, and then and I guess it makes more sense than having an actual long lost brother that looks very similar to John Belushi.
It's funny, from the Coneheads on, they all lose money, all of them.
Oh yeah.
No, because Blues Brothers cost $28 to make, and they only made $14. The Ladies' Man.
The Ladies' Man.
Yeah, it was Tim Meadows. He was like that. He had a lisp, and he was always drinking cognac, and he...
Yeah, but they made a movie of it?
Yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah, I never saw it, but I remember when it came out. Yeah.
Dude, that's weird.
It's 20 years old this year. It's been out for a while. So
everything is 20 years old at this point.
Right. But that cost...
The Trump impeachment was 20 years old.
It cost $24 million to make, and it only made 13.
That was a waste of fucking money.
Then MacGruber.
Okay. I actually...
A lot of people love MacGruber.
I gotta be... It is so bad, but there's a couple fucking, like, really funny scenes where I have laughed and felt like my ribs will break.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. So...
So, can I give you...
I know the concept of it.
Okay, so it's basically what if MacGyver had a fucking stupid son, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a part where MacGruber is about to have sex with Kristen Wiig's character, and they have that montage, like, love music that's really popular in, like, the 80s, like...
Sure.
It just that, it's like soft 80s rock and roll. And it's like them like licking each other like really passionately. And it's really erotic. And then the movie cuts to him thrusting really, really like obvious, like a porno kind of thrust.
Right.
And she's underneath him and he's making the funniest sex sounds like, ooh yeah, ooh. And then he just keeps going. He's like, I'm going to shoot inside you. And then you see Kristen Wiig is covering her face. One, because she was laughing so fucking hard. Two, because he's actually dripping sweat on her. So she was covering her face. And then later, I just have to finish this. Later, MacGruber had an earlier wife that had died at their wedding by Val Kilmer.
Okay. So
he's like, after he has sex with Kristen Wiig, he feels so bad because he just basically is like, I just fucked away my first wife's memory. I feel guilty, even though he totally just fucked the woman. He didn't really feel guilty doing it. Yada, yada, yada. He goes to the cemetery, and the ghost of his first wife, played by Maya Rudolph, like basically gives him like, it's okay. It's time to move on. Be with your new girl. I need you to be happy. And then the 80s erotic music kicks in again, and they start, he's basically making out with his ghost widowed dead wife.
Oh dear.
And then it does the 80s montage, and then it does the cut to him fucking nothing. He's completely butt-ass naked in a cemetery. She is laying on a tombstone, or like sitting up on it, and he's thrusting nothing, but he's so into it that he's actually thinks he's fucking his wife. And there's like a guy working at the cemetery who's just like, what the, like, he's just like digging a grave. He's like, what the fuck? And Will Forte is just like, oh yeah. So stupid. But when like I first saw it, I'm like, they wrote and filmed this fucking movie. And then in his own mind, he's having sex with her. Right. So it's Maya Rudolph, and they're basically having this weird sex sound off, like, ooh, yeah, oh, wow, oh, ooh, like, off and on. And he's like, I'm going to shoot. He's like, I'm going to shoot too. And like, you just watch this, you're like, Ryan Phillippe at one point is naked with a celery stick up his ass as a distraction so MacGruber can shoot the bad guys. What the fuck?
Right.
This movie should have made way more money. Just for those two scenes alone.
No.
Yes. I'm going to send you the clips for them later.
No, please don't. The next one down on the list is Stewart Saves His Family.
Stewart with
Stuart Smalley. Al Franken played him.
Al Franken, yeah. People, goddammit, People Like Me, or where the fuck is character?
Yeah. $15 million to make, made $912,000.
Wow. Did he?
Oh, the next one's worse.
Oh, really?
The last one on the list is It's Pat.
What?
It's Pat. It's Julia Sweeney. She plays a character named Pat who is very gender neutral. You don't know if it's a male or a female. And it's very, the bit was that every time you would try to narrow it down, she would answer the question with a non-binary type of answer. So you never knew what gender Pat was.
And they made a whole fucking movie of like, what is Pat?
It's just a.
No. That's the gimmick. Is they made a whole movie of what is Pat?
Yeah, I guess. And so,
all right, give me the budget.
$8 million.
Okay, I'm going to guess how much it made.
Please.
$3.
Not that bad. No.
Okay. Not $1 million. Let's see. I'm going to be real. 32,000.
$60,822.
That's pretty close.
They pulled the movie in the first week.
Really?
The because it was doing so bad. They
made
pulled it.
It made 60,000 though. This movie came out when?
August 1994.
Okay, so I would say the average, you were going to movies more than I was. So an average ticket would have been $5?
$5 to $7. Yeah.
Okay. So $5 per ticket for 60,000.
So that means 12,000 people saw it.
There's 12,000 people out there that have got to tell me what the fuck this experience was like. If anybody has seen this movie and you saw it in theaters and you have to like go through a seedy fucking like video store and be like, oh, you want that awful piece of shit? I got it right here. Tell me what the fuck the movie was like, because at no point do I want to actually see this. I just want to fucking hear how weird it was. Like, I didn't even want to see Night at the Roxbury.
By comparison, just to give you an idea, because I looked this up because I knew we'd want to know. Hold on, I got it. Fuck, where'd it go? I just lost it. Son of a bitch. Okay. Mallrats cost $6.1 million to make and grossed $2.1. So it still lost money, but by comparison, Mallrats did better.
Yeah, because Mallrats was actually funny.
But it wasn't sitting on this monster that is Saturday Night Live. Like, that's my point,
Yeah, but maybe SNL should take a break.
Well, yeah. Well, so that's the money aspect of some of these movies. But I think we need to probably start. I mean, I don't know how much more we can say. I mean, really,
Well, you had talked about your favorite Sandler films.
Yeah.
Like, Big Daddy was one for me because I saw that in theaters. And I think it was relatable because I was like a little older than the kid, but I was still a kid. And I went and saw it with my mom. And, there's something about like seeing a movie that's like PG-13 or up with your parent when you're a kid. It's sort of a weird bonding experience. Like, I've talked about how my mom took me to see Jay and Silent Bob when I was 10 years old. Like, it's this weird thing where like, oh my God, my parent can be cool. My parent's okay with me watching like a movie with dirty language.
Yeah.
Like I saw the South Park movie the third time in Canada with my brother Joel and my dad.
I remember you told us that story before. Yeah.
So, so I saw Big Daddy and I was in Palm Springs when I saw Big Daddy in theaters, and that night I got a massive fucking migraine, like 2 in.m, and basically recreated the shit where the kid throws up.
Yeah.
And then like my mom was like, are you copying the movie? Because I just barfed uncontrollably because when my migraines I get really dizzy and motion and nausea. I
actually had my first one ever on Thursday.
You had a migraine?
Oh God, it was brutal. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not excited. It sucks, but I'm like,
I get that. Yeah.
But I'm like, I mean,
it woke me up out of a dead sleep. Dead sleep woke me out of a dead sleep.
Did you throw up?
No, I didn't get that bad. But
I'm just curious because it's sort of like in a weird roundabout way. It's my thing, but like I'm curious, like did you like see spirals? Did you?
No, I just had the really bad headache, but I know other people that have migraines beside you, and I've talked to them, and they said, "Oh yeah, you definitely had a migraine based on like where I was feeling it and like how it radiated and where it stayed and that whole thing." So
and it lasted pretty much all day.
No, it woke me out of a dead sleep around 3 a.m. I got up and I took like 4 Advil and passed the fuck out, and woke up like 6 hours later. And I mean, yes, it lasted. When you say it lasted all day, like I was able to get up and function and not have any problems, but there was still pain. Like I felt, but like the bulk of it.
Turn lights off and shit.
No, I didn't need to. Like by the point that I re-woke up, it was just like a mild irritant. So I'm sure it wasn't as
Oh.
severe as some of the other ones can be, but just
you
based
got
on
off light, buddy.
yeah, no, I've heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't mean to derail your thing, but yeah.
No, it's fine. Little Nicky was another one for me.
Little Nicky's a good one. Yeah, I like that one. It's got a bit of a heavy metal ring to it, so that's what I like about it. My favorite part about that movie, honestly, because it's not great, but my favorite part about that movie is when he talks about, they're talking about it, if you play Ozzy backwards, do you hear, weird shit? And he's like, no, but if you play Chicago backwards, it's like, I am Satan.
I will rule all.
Yeah. When you talk about Big Daddy, though, I want to double back there for just a second. Like, it hits me in a couple of ways, too. I mean, I'm being adopted, you know what I mean, was one. Also, though, like, and in a much less important way, because it came out in 1999, and at 1999, I had just kind of discovered going to Hooters. Well, I know, it's silly, but like every week they would do trivia at Hooters, and a bunch of my friends and I would go over there and order wings and play trivia and hang out. So like the fact that they were celebrating at Hooters, him, and stuff was just kind of like a thing,
I've only been to Hooters once, and it was in Florida.
Okay.
It was in Orlando, Florida. I had to go there for a wedding that my girlfriend at the time was the maid of dishonor for.
Okay.
And I say that because, like, so much shit that could have happened wrong at a wedding happened at this wedding.
Yeah.
Like, the bride's side was like, there's no other way of saying it apart from like, they were like Hillary Clinton's family. They were like real upper class and kind of like Democrat, but like they made you feel like assholes.
Oh, I have a similar wedding story, and maybe we'll share these. Just save these for another day. But the gist of it,
I could save it.
The gist of it is, I was in the wedding, and the bride side are heavy practicing Mormons, and the groom side is not at all.
Well, that was sort of the clash.
Yeah, I envisioned that based on what you were saying, but it's the same kind of thing, and it was So we'll save those maybe for another day.
Okay, let's do it soon because it's fun.
But at the same time, going back to the Big Daddy thing for a minute, so like like being, doing that on a weekly basis and then seeing them do it in the movie was fun. So
sure. One of my favorite parts in Big Daddy was Steve Buscemi.
Yeah.
As the homeless guy. And they're like, because I was sort of that kid who saw a homeless guy and we just kind of wanted the life story. Like, I was like, why did you get here? Are you okay? And then like, I would only have like a couple dollars, but like, you could have this. And then my dad or my mom would be like, all right, we gotta go. Let's stop.
Right.
Let's go. And I'm like, Dad, can you give him a job? And he's like, what? And then we're like, I don't know. And the homeless guy was like, hey, I appreciate your son trying to help, man. I'm not asking for any favor. And my dad's like, no, he's right. You gotta wait. You come by my house, rake my front lawn. I'll give you, I'll pay you whatever it was.
$20, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Not like $10 an hour. It's like, here, you do all this, it's $20.
Right. Well, I mean, from what you're talking about your dad, that sounds about right.
So Big Daddy was one. Little Nicky was one.
But my favorite part about Big Daddy, not just the Hooters thing, is also like, because there's two things that I still do to this day from that movie.
You throw sticks at the fucking people that are rollerblading?
No, I don't throw sticks at rollerbladers. Primarily because nobody rollerblades anymore. But that's not the point.
That's true. Oh, you hawk a long ass loogie?
No, I don't. I never could do that. I could never get that to stay connected.
My brothers would do that.
I'm sure they did.
Hit me
Probably
down.
Over your face and stuff. Yeah.
No, it would still. At one point, they fucking just spat on my face. You ate 30 packets of ketchup.
There was the one joke died off, but there was a group of us and we used to hang out, and the "I have a belly button" thing was an ongoing thing for a long time. That's died off. But the two things that, because who started it was this really cute girl that we knew, and she wore these like midriffs, so she'd be like, "I have a belly button," and we'd all be like, "Yes, you do." But because it was like 2 girls and like 7 dudes that would hang out in this group. So I mean, you do the math.
Right.
But anyway, the other 2 that I still do is when he's teaching him how to read, and he's also helping the delivery guy learn English. So he's like, hip hop anonymous. David, you give him all the easy ones, So like that makes me laugh all the time. And then oh fuck, I just blanked. Oh, I win. What's the name of this game? I win. Mm-hmm. When he's playing poker and he's got like nothing, and he's like, "Why do you win?" Because I win. Yeah.
I've done. Michael and I have done that. We're playing cards or something. It's like, I win. Why do you win? Because I win. What the fuck's the name of this game?
I win. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed it, but I had a back and forth with Rebecca, I think, on Twitter, and I used the GIF from that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I remember.
So
Schneider, here's another one.
Schneider, yeah. He wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Sandler. Let's be real.
Oh, what? I mean, he was always the guy known as, you can do it!
Yeah.
Which I have said on the show a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Schneider, there was an old, I was a big, massive fan of Mad Magazine. They did a whole thing where it was like the daily life of Adam Sandler. It was just a quick, one or 2 page thing. And it was like 9 a.m. Get up, and look in the mirror and yell for 20 minutes and make funny faces. And then it was like 11:30 a.m. Get Schneider to come over and yell at him to clean the gutters, because that's the only work that he could do that day.
The Brad Pitt role in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
The
fucking bitch boy.
Yeah.
And then it was
he even did it in the special when he's Yuri, the space cosmonaut that they 69 together. I mean, like.
And then it was like 2:20. Go get the same fucking haircut you've gotten for 15 years. The Jerry Lewis special is what they called it. I think even Schneider was just like always getting shit on.
I was just going to say, I think my favorite Schneider roles in his movies, though, is probably the delivery guy from Big Daddy and his Hawaiian friend in 50 First Dates.
Yeah, 50 First Dates was another one
that's a good one.
Thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like we've talked about, there's some good ones and some bad ones. Like Jack and Jill, to go back for a brief minute, Jack and Jill has one of the funniest Al Pacino moments.
Was he in that movie?
He and Johnny Depp are both in that movie, but they're playing themselves.
Okay.
And Pacino becomes infatuated with Jill, played by Adam Sandler.
Right, yeah.
And he invites her to his house, and she breaks his Oscar, and she says, or Sandler, as Jill says, I'm sure you have another one. He's like, you think so, but no, look, that's the one.
Which we actually talked about on the Oscars episode, if you recall. Right. Yeah.
And then Johnny Depp plays himself at a basketball game courtside. Curbside, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
But then you also have Don't Mess with the Zohan, which is ugh. But then.
See, that.
Go ahead.
That's a weird one. That's a weird one for me. Because it's not terrible.
Oh, it's pretty terrible.
But it's not it's kind of funny. But see, that one would be that is an SNL bit that just shouldn't have been made into a movie. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
I'm going to be an Israeli awesome agent.
I think, we can talk about it a little more, but I think, and we did say that this was going to be the original conversation. We elaborated it out to SNL. Maybe we do need to do a Sandler deep dive, because the more we're talking about it, there's more to say. Because you've got the Longest Yard remake that I think is not as bad as people think it is. Or say, it's great. But there's a lot of people that are like, you don't fuck with that movie, and the Burt Reynolds one's the only good one, and then this, that, and the third, where I liked it. I liked it a lot. And then you have,
Waterboy.
What's the other one? Well, just Waterboy, of course. Yeah, but there was another one I was thinking of that I just blanked on. Shit. And we haven't even gotten into his serious stuff like Spanglish and Punch Drunk Love, Punch Drunk Love, and there's the new one now, Uncut Gems, which I hear is not real good. But
I've heard it's him really trying to do he was really aiming for an Oscar role, and he even said if I don't get nominated, you will see so many bad Netflix movies from me.
And well, I guess we're gonna get them then.
It was also the one he did, Rain Over Me. Or Rain on Me. It's one of the two.
I don't think I know that one. But anyway, there's a couple movies here that we haven't even had an opportunity to touch on yet. And I think maybe we need to expand this into another episode where we do just Sandler stuff.
Sure. Which is weird because background, we did try to talk about that.
Right, I know. But I liked setting this stage with SNL first. I think, and there's a lot of SNL. Look, for those listening who are fans and maybe some of the older fans, I know we're missing out stuff we didn't get heavy into Aykroyd, and Aykroyd's had a hell of a career outside of Saturday Night Live.
Sure.
And
because he was always the straight man of Belushi, and then Belushi died, and then it was Aykroyd's still around? We know him from Ghostbusters. That's really probably his most famous role.
But then he's also got roles in some of these other movies we talked about, like Tommy Boy. He's Tommy's father, Or no, he's the competitor, if I recall.
Yeah, he's Ray Zelinsky.
Right. Which, that character, apparently, that name carries through several of these different films. I'll have to
Callahan.
find...
So does the
Callahan, that's
Callahan.
The one I'm thinking of. Callahan. Yeah.
But
we're missing out on him. We didn't really get into Murray. I know you're not a big Bill Murray fan, but I mean, there's some, Bill Murray's still Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, we could do a whole one episode thing.
We could.
There's one, there was controversy for a lot of SNL as well. We kind of very briefly touched on it. There's been some, because it's a live show, there has been a couple instances where there's been the word fuck on air.
Yep. There's the
recently,
thing. There's the thing with Sinead O'Connor and the Pope picture.
Yeah.
You have that. You have some of the casting that just has happened behind the scenes. You've got that 1 year with Joan Cusack and Robert Downey.
Yeah, I mean that's the weird thing is Robert Downey Jr. is the most successful SNL actor. No, I mean let's look at it now. Robert Downey Jr. now.
You could make an argument for Bill Murray still. I think.
I don't think so. I think Bill Murray is gonna always get his checks, but he doesn't have that Downey Jr. fuck you.
Well, no, if you're talking dollars, yeah. If you're talking flat out dollars, yeah, I think you're right. But
I mean, there are some people that, my brother doesn't particularly like Downey as much as, you and I do.
Sure.
Because his argument is, Downey Jr. plays the same fucking role in every movie. And to a more or less extent, he's not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, even going back to Weird Science, to a degree, it's just a younger version of current Downey. What?
To what?
To current Downey.
No, what role was...
Oh, in Weird Science.
Oh, Weird Science. Yeah, I mean, you could say that. I mean...
It's the teenage version of what this character, to your brother's point, that he always plays. It's really what it is.
I would say Sherlock Holmes is a little different than
Yes, I'll give you that. I hear Doolittle, while it was kind of terrible, is definitely different. I
think my mom went and saw it. She said she loved it, but my mom loves fucking every movie. So, there's one thing we're talking about tragedy in SNL. There was the actor Charles Rocket.
I saw something about that in here, but I'm not familiar with it. So
Charles Rocket, you've seen Dumb and Dumber.
Parts of it.
Okay, he's the bad guy in Dumb and Dumber.
Okay.
He was also in... We talked about an episode, the movie Tom and Huck.
Yes.
So he plays fucking Becky's... he's the judge in the movie and shit. Charles Rocket was on SNL, and I believe he was the first person to say fuck, because
he was
his character in a segment got shot. So when they're doing the closing segment, the thank yous and the closing, wrap up after each show, one of the cast members said, "So Charles, what's it like to? How do you feel about getting shot?" And he's laying down on stage, kind of looking depressed, and he's got a lit cigarette. He's like, "I don't know, but I'd like to know who the fuck did it. And he said it very he was
distinctly.
Like, oops.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oops, shit, didn't mean to say that. It was like, no, I don't know who the fuck did it. And then the audience loved it, but then he was immediately fired. He did a couple roles. He was trying to do some acting. And if I remember correctly, he fucking committed suicide by cutting his own throat.
Yep.
That is some hard fucking way of killing yourself. I mean, Hartman was murdered by his crazy coked up wife. Fucking Belushi and Farley fucking did it to themselves unintentionally. They knew every time I snort this line or stick this needle in my arm, it could be my last one. They weren't stupid, but this dude said, this is it. It's really heartbreaking.
The interesting thing is he was in a couple of pretty big movies too. I'm looking at his IMDb.
The last thing I saw him in, which I believe was actually aired a month or two before he committed suicide, was an episode of Law and Order SVU. And he does not come off great in that, but it was such a great, meaty, villainous role. It's really kind of fucked up that that was the last thing that he did.
It might be Criminal Intent, because I don't see SVU on his list here, but I do see...
It may have been Criminal Intent.
Yeah. I know him more from TV because he's on Quantum Leap. He was on a couple different shows I've seen. He is also, I'm not taking away from his movies, but I'm just saying I know him more from several TV roles that he was on besides Law and Order.
Because he had that notoriety. I mean, people...
Well, he's got a face, too, that you recognize. As soon as I saw his picture, I was like, I know that guy. I've seen him.
Yeah, but, he has that notoriety of, oh, that's the motherfucker who said fuck.
See, I didn't know
happened.
That.
There was a whole F-bomb on SNL, 5-10 years ago or something. And the bit, it wasn't even a funny bit. It was two girls. I think one of them was Kristen Wiig. I don't remember who does the F-bomb, but, it may have been, Abby. Oh, God. She's the daughter of someone who is famous. The guy from, There's Something About Mary. Abby Elliott. Daughter of Chris Elliott. That's who it is.
Okay.
I think she's the one who does the F-bomb. And she's in a sketch. It may not be her. I don't know who the fuck it was. It may have been Jenny Slate, actually, now that I think about it. The chick who fucked up symbiotes in Venom, She was on SNL, and I think she's the one. She's her and her co-stars Kristen Wiig, and they're fucking saying frickin' frequently.
Mm.
And so it was just natural where accidentally you're going to say fucking instead of frickin'.
Yeah.
And you can see she's aware that she said it, and then she blows up her cheeks really
Right, yeah.
But that's the thing is, it was such a bad sketch. No one fucking noticed it until people were like, wait, let me rewind my DVR. What the fuck was that?
Yeah. There's nothing. It's funny because under the Wikipedia, there's a section about controversies, and I'm telling you right now, and there's a section in the cast about the first story you told about the guy who killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only reference to the F word. I'm not saying the other ones didn't occur. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying it's the only.
I want to say it's Jenny Slate. I think if you looked up Jenny Slate, it would come up.
Well, but either way. But then if you get into the controversies, oh wait, here we go. There's another.
Well, there's Jessica Simpson.
Right. Okay, there's one with Andrew Dice Clay.
Andrew Dice Clay just opened his mouth, and they're like, "Oh my god, controversy!"
I think it was because he was hosting it, basically. Ironically enough, check this out, and then we gotta start wrapping this down.
I might know this, but go ahead.
Sinead O'Connor was supposed to be the musical guest for the Andrew Dice Clay one, and boycotted the episode, and then ultimately ended up being her own controversy later. There's Rage Against the Machine.
Which, by the way, I Sinead O'Connor, I kind of have to fucking agree with her.
Well, you're an atheist.
She picked a bad time to do it. But what was even funnier was Joe Pesci was the next week's
host,
I think.
Yeah.
And then he took a photo of the Pope and then taped it back together and talked shit about Sinead O'Connor for a second.
See, and then that's the only real major controversy. There's controversy about Kanye being on the show, Kanye West.
He was an asshole off stage.
And he also wore a MAGA hat on air. And then apparently Trump hosted the show during his presidential campaign.
Yeah, he did.
That was a thing. So, but those are the only...
There's not really controversy, but there's like...
But okay, now, here we go. Here's the incidences. Okay, we'll have to maybe... Yeah,
because there's Ashley Simpson's lip syncing was kind of like...
Right,
wow.
There's Kinnison's... Kinnison did a stand-up, apparently. It was kind of like you were talking about with the Carlin stuff. And they actually edited out of the West Coast one.
Of course, because Kinnison probably really pushed it.
Yeah. They ran Richard Pryor on a 5-second delay because back in 1975 there were no delays. They just ran them.
Richard Pryor, you don't know what the fuck he's going to say. There was...
there's Alec Baldwin making overt sexual advances at a Boy Scout character as the Scoutmaster. It's Canteen Boy.
A Canteen Boy, yeah. That was... which is funny because then he's like... One of his most famous fucking bits is the sweaty balls.
Right.
Which they fucking made a fucking ice cream flavor out of.
They made a movie out of it, if I recall.
No, I don't think so.
I think so.
Sweaty balls?
Yeah. Those characters, not the sweaty balls, but those characters. Because the sweaty balls is the two women that talk very monotone and they've got that NPR radio thing.
Yeah, but, the only thing that sort of, I would almost argue Waterboy was inspiration from Canteen Boy because he talked like a little bit like this. You know, it evolved into Waterboy.
Right. But there's a lot of them here. I think we'll need to, maybe we'll retouch that too, but, because there's a lot of cursing, apparently.
Was I right? Was it Jenny Slate, though? Did you see it?
I didn't see it. What was, yes. Yes, it was. Jenny Slate, along with Kristen Wiig. And Megan Fox. Megan Fox was in that sketch, too, apparently. And then, so there's a lot of these cursing ones seem to be later. Like more recent.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just because back in the 80s, it was like, oh my God, he said fuck on the air.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, he said fuck on the air. So what? Donald Trump said fuck on the air once.
Then there's something that would determine what you want to call it a controversy or not. Like, because apparently Garth made a comment about Chelsea Clinton because she was a teenage girl at the time and how she was going to be a babe in waiting and stuff like that. So,
I mean, yeah. I'm
not saying it's great, but
it's not great. But like, here's the thing: if it was an ad lib, whoa, buddy, you should have done that. But if it was in the writers' room and it was like unanimous, like, yes, that's a fucking joke. We're going to keep in. We also have to remember, like, Conan O'Brien was a writer. Like, he was a writer there for a long time, as well as like for The Simpsons. He was like going back and forth, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he was. You're right.
So like, a lot of the controversy just belongs to Conan O'Brien.
Yeah. Well, I think look, there's still a lot to do. Saturday Night Live's been on for, a long fucking time. Like the first one aired in
1975.
Yes, October of 75. So, I mean, we're talking, just under 30, it's 35 years? 45 years.
45.
Yeah, it's 45 years this year. So, I mean, like, that's a lot of history.
It's almost 50 years old, and it still isn't as funny.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it's 45 years old. I'm not saying it should end, but, like, honestly, the last funny cast member to me was Jay Farrow. He's still on the show, I think. I thought he left. I think he was booted.
No, maybe. I don't know.
His impressions are fucking amazing. But for me, I'll always be a fan of Bill Hader. I think it kind of dropped a little bit once Bill Hader left.
Like I said, for me, it was the Sandler, Spade, Farley, Hartman.
For me, that was the pinnacle fucking timeline. But like, it's never really been funny to me since. So, nah, anyway, I guess that's how we ended. It's not funny anymore. Yeah, it's not funny anymore. CJ here with a few thank yous and to let you know how you can get in touch with and follow the show and us. Listen to us on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you find your podcasts. Please don't forget to rate and comment. PodAskew is a member of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network.
Visit their website, bigheadsmedia.com, and follow them on Twitter @bigheadsmedia. If you want to agree with or yell at us, follow Rico, me, and the show on Twitter. The show is @PodAskew, Rico is @RantsRico, and I'm @M_Blade. We want to thank logo designer and show friend Mike for his work on our wonderful logo. You can contact him for artwork via email at logomike80@gmail.com. That's logomike80@gmail.com. Thank you to Samuel Lemons for all original music on the show, especially our theme music. You can find Sam on Twitter @SamuelLemons, all one word, and his music on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. Finally, our biggest thank you is to you, everyone, for listening. Rico and I really appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another episode soon.
It's Saturday Night Live!
Damn it!
PodAskew! 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 PodAskew!